Been slating all day, Mark.
Okay, Tim, it's Mark from the Toronto Sun. It's great to be talking to you. You would be out on the road right now. You're supposed to be out touring. You would have already been through Toronto. What's been the easiest part of the quarantine and the hardest part for you?
Easy. I don't know. Has there been an easy part? I guess the easiest part has just been hanging around the house. Just not doing a whole lot, except watching movies and cooking quite a bit. But last 4 weeks have been great. Hung out with my daughters. I had all three of my daughters in town with a few of their friends, and so we all quarantined up here on the hill and had dinner every night and played games and watched movies and had robust political conversations every night, which was a lot of fun. Robust conversations about everything when you get a bunch of people around the table. It is so interesting to see their insight and how they've gained so much insight being out in the world. The hardest thing is just not touring. I mean, I've spent so many years on the road. I mean, I used to say that I wish that I had, 6 months off. I used to say, gosh, man, I'm sort of burnt out. I've played year after year after year. I played a lot of concerts. I've raised 3 kids with my wife, never missed a ball game, never missed anything. We're always going. So, man, if I could just have 6 months off, maybe I could recharge my batteries. But after about a month and a half of it, I'm like, I need to go back to work. I need to get on the stage. I need that energy. No, everybody gets into this business because they want to be on the stage. They want to be in front of 30,000 people. They want to be slinging sweat and playing guitar and feeling that energy and buying into that emotion that we're all in this together for these 2 hours, and we're going to suspend reality. And you're not going to be the same people you are 24/7. I'm not going to be the same guy I am 24/7. And we're just going to buy into each other and just sort of have this meld and really enjoy this moment.
The introspection of Here on Earth, it seems appropriate for the times that we're living in right now. What was the message you wanted to send to your fans with this new record?
Well, we started making this record about 3 years ago, and started making it at the end of our Soul to Soul run when Faith and I were doing our Soul to Soul tour together and had made a duets album. I started collecting songs that were really starting to make sense to me and really starting to tell a story. And then I started wanting to tell a story, not do a concept album per se, but I wanted to make an album that were these tapestry of life, and these cinematic vignettes of life, of the things that we all go through, with a few songs that have sort of an ethereal 30,000 foot view of everything that goes on in life and how we all look at it from that point of view. And as more and more songs came in, it started forming itself more and more. And we finished everything before the COVID thing started, except for a few mixes. So after the COVID, I called Mama was one of the last things we cut, and Doggone was one of the last things we cut, and Gravy was one of the last things we cut. And we cut those right before the COVID and the quarantine and all that stuff settled in, but we were mixing them during that time. So as we were mixing those songs, we brought back a few of the other songs that we had already finished and mixed, just because emotionally we wanted to make sure that we were on target with the mixes that we had made according to the times that we're now living in. We thought maybe emotionally these mixes might change a little bit if we went back and revisited them. And some did. Some stayed the same, but some did. But what it really did was it really made us dial in. We had like 25, 26, 27 songs that we had recorded and we had mixed that we were trying to narrow down and to put into this album. And what this experience did in the state of the world, how the state of the world changed, what it did was really put into focus what songs needed to go on this album and how it needed to be shaped and how the story needed to be told. And Here on Earth certainly raised its hand as being the title track of the album because of what it said and all the implications that it had according to the times that we're living in now. And also sonically, it was sort of the linchpin to the rest of the music. If without Here on Earth, I think it would be hard to run LA, Damn Sure Do, Chevy Spaceship, Hard to Stay Mad At, run those through Here on Earth sonically and lyrically, and that being the tempo, and then come out and have Sheryl Crow and have the Boys of Summer sounding song, Hold You Tonight. You know, those songs. So those songs all started making sense because we had Here on Earth, and because Here on Earth was the title, it made all those songs make sense.
How did the album with Faith and the tour with Faith kind of impact the direction you were going to go in with this record?
Well, the songs started impacting the direction I wanted to go for sure when I started hearing some of the songs that were coming in, songwriters were sending me, and also some of the songs that I was writing at that time. Although none of those made the album, it set up a scenario in which it made me look at different songs that were coming in because of the way I was writing. But out of pure just honesty, singing with Faith for 2 years, and this comes from knowledge of beforehand, touring with her before, singing with Faith for 2 years, doing a duets album with Faith. I know always after those periods of time of working with her that I'm a much better singer when I come out at the other end of that, because she's one of the greatest singers on the planet. And certainly finishing it and then deciding that we were going to put it out during this time because we thought it meant something to put it out during this time.
So I called Mama it's a great reminder to people to remember to call your mom. But I'm curious, you know, you've been around for so long. You've been around since I was a teenager for me. So it feels like your music been in my life for a very long time. What did your mom think when you told her this is what I want to do? Because you had a lot of different options.
She loved it. She loved the song, of course, but what she really loved is we got to use a picture of hers from high school for the artwork, and which was interesting because it was a picture that had been taken just before she found out that she was pregnant with me, and I sort of ruined her senior year, and I've been spending every year since trying to make up for it. But she was really happy about it and cried a few tears on the phone about it, and she texted me. She said, "Does this mean I'm a movie star now?" And I told her, "Mom, you've always been a movie star to us."
You had a lot of options. You know, when did you know you wanted to be a singer and do this for the rest of your life?
Gosh, you know, I was always interested in music early on. Sang in church. I knew every song on the radio. I mean, I would drive people crazy just driving down the road, sitting in the car with my mom or my stepdad or my sisters, and I would sing every song on the radio that came on, no matter what genre it was. I knew it. Still to this day, I know I could just turn about any song on and know most of the words to it. But because I just love the radio and love listening, and I love listening to records. But I was an athlete, so I always played sports, and my primary focus was always sports or school. I was a pretty good student, so my focus was always that. And then I got into college, went to college to go to pre-law. I was going to be a lawyer. And my first year of college, I pawned my high school ring and bought a guitar.
Oh, wow.
I sat there over the summer and taught myself 50 songs to play on the guitar. First, I realized playing around the fraternity house, I realized that it worked pretty well with the ladies. So that made me stick to it a little bit more. And then at the end of the summer, after learning 50 songs, I got a job with just me and a guitar playing for tips. And then I realized I could pay my rent doing it. And then I just fell in love with it. And then it was something that I just couldn't do without and couldn't live without. And it wasn't long before I sold everything I had, bought a Greyhound bus ticket, and moved to Nashville.
What was the moment you knew you made it?
I'm still looking for that moment. I don't think I'm ever going to buy into that moment. But there are a few times that we knew something special was going on. I can remember playing Houston, Texas, and Indian Outlaw had been out, and it was a big hit. And what we had done is we'd been booked at all these like B and C clubs. We didn't have very many A clubs that we were playing. We were a small band and small act, and we had a lot of B and C clubs we were playing all over Texas and all over the country, really. And Indian Outlaw came out and started blowing up. Well, I didn't cancel so I never canceled any of those club dates because I thought, well, we'll have a hit with Indian Outlaw, and then I'll have to go, if I cancel on these guys and then I need to go back and work for them, then they won't hire me anymore. So I kept all of these dates. So we were playing a smaller club in Houston, Indian Outlaw was a big hit. We kept all our club dates. We show up and this place held like 500 people. And there were like 4,000 people in the parking lot and outside. And the owner had set up big screen TVs with cameras on the stage. And we did all our songs, and then we did Don't Take the Girl. And in the middle of Don't Take the Girl, I just quit singing. And you could hear people from the outside, all the inside. Everybody was singing every word, Don't Take the Girl. And I looked over at my guitar player, and he looked over at me, and he winked. And then after the song was finished, he came over and says, well, I guess we can pay our rent for a while. That's what we call it.
You know, Tim, you're making music for so long. What are the 5 albums that mean the most to you?
Oh, wow. Of mine?
You could choose yours, or you could choose ones that just are big moments in your life.
Wow. Well, Eagles' Greatest Hits is a huge album for me. Any Merle Haggard album. But for me, if I'm going to pick and I'll go with another album, Breathe, my wife's album Breathe, and that particularly that single is one of the greatest sounding records that's ever been recorded. And the Cry album by her is probably one of the best sonically song vocal performance albums ever made in any part of music industry. But for me, Set the Circus Down is probably a big one. Everywhere. The Dancehall Doctors album was a big one for me. Emotional Traffic was a big album for me because I think that it was an exploration album for me. And I explored a lot of different sounds and it made me a better singer for the next projects to come. And then now I think Here on Earth is probably, I was talking to my wife the other night. I think it's probably the culmination of everything I've worked at in my career. And every album that I've tried to make and every vision that I've ever had has culminated itself on this album.
That's cool. My last question is, what's the best advice you ever got?
Johnny Paycheck. He was riding he needed a ride. My bus driver was his old drummer, and Johnny needed a ride to Ohio. And so my bus driver asked if Johnny Paycheck could ride on the bus with us. And of course, yeah, we'd love to have Johnny Paycheck. And he was pretty down and out at that time. So he got on the bus and he had sort of a velvet jumpsuit on, and he's sitting on the bus riding with us, and we're talking, and he's playing old violin, and he's playing Take This Job and Shop, playing all his great songs, Apartment Number 9, which he wrote for Tammy Wynette. And I asked Johnny, I said, Johnny, you know, as a young up and coming country singer, what would be the best advice that you could give me? And he looked at me and he said, son, he said, always go hard and fast enough so when you hit the ditch, you can pull out the other side.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today, Tim. Hopefully we see you back here next summer at the Bud Stage in Toronto, and take care. Thank you.
I don't. Good talking to you.